would be pretty neat.
Yeah. So, who knows?
Have a little R2 falling around.
Big changes to the Combat Engineer, though.
Excellent. Still need to do that advanced thing. That would be fun. Sounds good from what you've explained.
Even big changes just for the base engineer qual. So, very fun.
Oh, yeah, with the stuff being in the launcher slot now, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, because that means it's going to be more available to ARCs. Because, like, I really want to use that combat engineer stuff, but at the cost of my backpack, I really haven't been able to, you know?
And, well, that was the whole focus for me changing that.
Also excited for Ackley.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
Because I was like, well, why can't, let's see if we can make a backpack. And then Klinger came up, was like, no, that's not really that viable. So then we were just talking. He's like, well, why not put it in a launcher slot? I was like, you know what? That is an awesome idea. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So that's what we decided to do. And then the Boomer and EWEB are merged with the new stuff. So as well as weight carrying, because now you can carry your own ammo. But you're still going to have a loader because you can only carry a certain amount.
That's going to be a fucking game changer. Like, my favorite thing about the basic combat engineer was those portable shields. You can essentially create a fucking clear passage for your squad or anyone else behind you with those shields. Like, if you're in an open field, you now have at least 3 fucking shields of cover. If you take contact, you can just sit there, return fire, kill it, pick them up, move. Like, I always wanted to use it that way, but I've never been able to, except in fun ops.
Yes.
Oh, you guys give me time to speak now?
Yeah. You have the talking stick.
It's about that time, yeah.
I'm now kneeling, my lord. Here you go. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. BC Sandman, thank you.
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, it's less time than the previous podcast, so doing good.
This is true.
I'd like to say welcome, Aiden, by the way. This is your first week. Aiden is the newest addition to our podcast, and he is going to be here forever because he wanted to be here, but he's our new producer. He's replacing Dusty. Very small shoes to fill.
Yeah, now
so
I don't know what I'll be doing with like my Monday and Tuesday mornings, since I can't listen to the podcast. I guess I could, but
Yeah. You hear that, Dusty? Small shoes.
Gotta keep those views up.
You know what they say about small feet?
Facts.
But he shoots far, remember?
That's that is true. Good old shooter.
I think you should just get Starbender.
Awkwardly pulls collar. Won't get into that story.
We can say that for when he's back.
Oh, definitely. If we did, oh man, we need to get fucking Dusty to tell that story. That'll be a fucking good one. That's a good story. Not very appropriate though for the children. So Stitches, if you're listening to this, you can't listen to it.
I hope he is.
Nope.
Sorry, that's one less listen.
Rep.
So we're not
Well, anyway,
much from Spotify.
welcome Aiden. Welcome everybody else, by the way, back to We Are 501. I'm coming to you live from a bar this week. You might be wondering why. It's because my week has been so long that I need a goddamn drink, so I'll be doing that this evening. Sandman is with me here. Dakota and Aiden, like I said, is new this week. We have a really special guest here tonight who is we've touted is going to be the best episode in a long time, so no pressure or anything. We are going to get into our cast this week, starting with campaign, ladies and gentlemen. I put a little pause in there so Black can transition in, because I'm nice like that.
Also, how the hell are you going to bring up your notes about meetings and such?
Oh, I know, right?
Not even at your computer.
Well, it appears that Cyclone is been on campaign for a couple weeks. Sorry we missed it last week because we took that break. But Cyclone's been on campaign for a bit now, and they are finishing up here on the beautiful island nation of Clackdor, or some Clackdor was 7.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Basically Biff.
There are letters where numbers should be, whatever. They're wrapping up here. We have just literally like the western edge of the front to kind of clean up here. Cyclone 2 was swinging. I was running with them earlier this week here, and they were swinging at that western flank like a drunk homeless person off the interstate in Florida, and they were winning somehow, despite the intoxication. So that was going really well. Cyclone 1 obviously hit away in Cyclone 3, doing much of the same. We're getting ready to shift the focus back to Avalanche here, so I hope you guys are ready to get at it. We're almost done with this planet, so seems like to be some really big compositions. So big, in fact, that my frames almost tried to kill me this week. Sandman, I don't know if you know, but I watched Rain probably moonwalk like 300 meters with no helmet on. I eventually gave up and had to, unfortunately, quit the operation as I was permanently neutered by whatever was going on that server. So there was a ton of compositions down. There's a ton of stuff coming in the final stretch of the campaign here. So I'm sure we're all excited to figure out why the hell everyone's been fighting so hard.
Hell yeah. Yeah, my armor actually, it got to a point where it melted. My armor like removed itself from my body and like located my helmet in my chest, and I was just running around with like my pauldrons out at like my side, like I was some kind of alien before I
You're like you went on
inevitably
like a
crashed.
peyote journey or something.
Yeah, you know,
You're
just
like a
wandering
spiritual
around, making friends with the coyotes and shit in fucking Mexico, like petting things that probably shouldn't be petting, putting things in my mouth that should not be there. It was wonderful, a wonderful experience. I'm really exploring myself.
It's been happening a lot, though.
It's pretty dope Yelp review.
What, things in your mouth that shouldn't be?
Well, only for your mom, but no, what they're saying, like the framework, that's been kind of an issue the past couple weeks on certain things. Like the charity op was atrocious with that. My op today was terrible with framework, so that could have been the map though that we were on.
Sometimes op tray assets just go down, and it just they're cool. It just does that to the server. So.
Yeah, op tray stuff is neat, but yeah,
it melts it melts my CPU. But as long as everybody has fun, I think that's the main point. And we can expect that transition over to Avalanche pretty soon here.
There's also so many different moving parts and shit. Like, it's something that I really took for granted because, like, I'm not very technical savvy. But, like, you need to think about it. Like, we're playing a fucking game that's almost 10 years old with mods that people created on their personal computer and, like, updated. Like, bro, these things are all just random things. Even, like, our 501st stuff that people have compiled and created. And they're just like, hope they all work together. Good luck. And sometimes they just fucking don't.
Good luck, everybody else. That's true. That's true. Man, 10 years. That's a good point. When did the game come out?
2013.
Yeah, we're 9 years. Holy smokes, dude.
I don't like thinking about the fact that, Bridger, you and I have been doing this since 2019. Why?
Sometimes it takes a while for modding. I mean, Jay kind of talked about it in our first episode. Is that mods were in development for a few years before they were ready to roll out, and that was Swap 1.0. And something has to be created in order to kind of get a reference from, essentially. And it just arrived on the scene late. It is what it is.
He was saying what Arma 4 comes out, it'll probably be like a year or so before we even switch over to all that stuff.
If we switch over at all, maybe,
exactly.
Who knows? It's a mystery. Yeah, but upgrade your processors, everybody. We'll switch over to whatchamacallit. We'll switch over to battalion this week.
Here in my hangar with my brand new Lat C. Fun to fly around here on Geonosis. But you know what I like more than this Lat C? It's supporting the 501st Legion on Patreon. Every month, the unit's responsible for keeping the lights on. We can only do that with your support. Like our famed Captain Rex once said, that's what brothers do.
One major thing did come down. Voting is still going out. That is the customization for helmets and uniforms. There's further customization going. We presented something that would essentially kind of allow for people to be rewarded and just different things to do on that, and kind of put it in the hands of the texture team, essentially, what would be approved and what would not be. But essentially, I mean, there was an idea for J guys being awarded like a medal. So essentially, J guys will be able to go on the helmet now. If you were awarded, it's basically like a medal, something like that. We'll see what we tie that to. I'll need to talk to Dusty about that. There is also obviously some further uniform customizations. Polarized visors are coming. Sandman doesn't like that idea. I'll give him an opportunity to. And tell you what, I'll even give you, Sandman, an opportunity to use this as your platform.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Shoot, man.
You know, that it's not that I hate the idea. It's a thing. I don't know. It's just it's a personal thing. You know, that's like, I feel like that's the identity of the clone, is that black T visor. Because, like, you know, you're a CC, and you've got yourself a CC, and you got someone who just graduated UTC. They both wear the same exact visor, and that's their fucking connection. Like, one homie's got fucking drip, he's got blue all over, he's got blue coming out of his ass, blue fire rockets, and then you got this guy with a white helmet. But that fucking visor is still the same. And it's like that whole idea of brotherhood. But yeah, it's just my personal opinion on that. The rest of the shit looks fucking great. I really like the idea of, you know, customizing the armor. My whole stuff with it was, does it tell a story? Because, like, you know, you come up, you ask me about my helmet, you know, I'll have a story about it. Like, you know, Bridger, like, what's the story behind your fucking, you know, your war paint? You have a link to that. Whereas a visor, you know, it's just like, yeah, I like blue. But, you know, that's my whole thing on it.
Yeah, I agree with Sandman, though. It is like, you watch the Clone Wars or you watch, you know, any Star Wars, and you take like the 212th, and then you look at the 501st, it's all just black. So I can see where you're coming from. So I agree with you, Sandman. I also kind of dislike the idea, in that sense. So
yeah, it's just that, like, that one piece that, you know, I really don't think personally should be changed. Everything else would be great. Like, you know, you want to throw some stripes on your armor and customize it, like, you know, fucking, the higher you go, obviously you get more changes and stuff. Like, that would look cool. You know, you still 501st blue or black or gray, whatever was allowed. But that visor is like a staple of, like, a clone trooper to me personally.
That was beautiful.
I'm tearing up right now, and it might be because I'm drunk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not drunk. Not yet.
That's good, man. And we should never, like, if there's any opposite opinions, like, we should never ridicule those. We should always hear those out. And, you know, you never want to be in an echo chamber, so you provide a really good insight into that.
I also see the other side too, though. Like, I understand why people want it. You know, some people just want to fucking look cool. That's understandable.
For sure.
It's like fucking pit vipers. Rolling around with my pit vipers and my fucking jacked up Chevrolet. I don't have either, but we can wish. I gotta compensate somewhere, you know.
With that being said, we'll transition over last part we'll talk about this week is on the Ox news.
Oh,
Biggest thing that obviously came down the pipe, Hobnob announced it. I held a meeting with the Paul boys about it. This is coming, Project Beat Boop, which is the worst name in history. Klinger, I don't care. I hate the name. You're lazy. This is something that we've been working on for a few months here. Essentially, and I'm not afraid to say this, but it's essentially a love letter to the way that everything was before we switched to swapless. And frankly, it's kind of a giant middle finger to the way things were changed in the first place. That's the nicest way I can put that. But a lot of things will be changing, and kind of reverting back. And obviously, a lot of it came from the feedback of qual instructors and what you were telling them, just on a a squad level. So, I mean, we appreciate everybody's feedback, obviously, going into that, and we heard every single one of you, on what you guys wanted. And we're seeing a lot of changes back. Support might be flipping back to what they were in the past. Obviously, Dakota was talking about how combat engineer switching to the launcher slot is going to be way more inclusive to everybody else. These are all ideas that we kind of, took our time, and we want to make sure that it goes out right. If you look at Ox announcements, obviously, and coming soon, you can see, just exactly what the catalog is and what's been worked on, and it's been a phenomenal piece of work. And we've been kind of working in silence, and we appreciate everybody's patience with that. So that should be pretty soon. And we're planning on about a month of testing here, and then we're gonna see what sticks and if we need to change anything, and then it'll go out. But new assets, changes to guns, should be a good time. So hope you guys are all excited, and a lot went into it.
I cannot wait for those support changes. We've been dicking around with it on server 10, and it's a totally different. It's a game changer. It's totally different. Each gun has its own fucking personality. Like, how all the DC 15 series, they were just different renditions of it, just sped up or slowed down sound wise. The L sounds completely different from the A. The Z6 actually sounds like what you'd imagine a fucking hip-fired rotary cannon. It's got some fucking bass to it. It's got some oomph. Sounds great. The fucking Oxmod did dope on all those changes.
Yeah, I just
Really
might
thoughtful
cry when I fire the
changes,
15L.
Bro, that
Good
15L is my child.
Yeah, as young Valhalla would say, just pull down on the weak. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Listen, we all said that.
Yeah.
I
You know what
am
else
so
is a game
excited.
changer, though?
What's that?
All of these Oxmod changes are great, though. But the 12-man squad. Richard didn't touch up on that yet.
Oh.
Which one are we talking about?
Adding the 12th man.
Well, that's because that was 2 weeks ago.
Good point.
You forgot about that.
Yeah. That would have been last week, I guess. Yeah, good catch.
We had the podcast.
Yeah, if only we had it last week, right?
Goddamn podcast team, those fucking bastards.
God, they never get my emails.
Fucking AFK inactive.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they're 12th man now. So, but battalion is and the war council voted to add a 12th man back to each squad, which is something that we haven't seen in a very long time since the reorg. Essentially, we removed a person, put an ARC in, but now we're going to have another extra trooper. Still some talk about what that spot's going to be from company to company, but for the meantime, you are going to have an extra slot to play with squad leads, so have fun with that.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's why it was a bit controversial to some people. It's been 2 years that we've been in 11-man squads.
What's the pros and cons of it? Like, I haven't really talked to anybody about it. So what are people saying they like about it and don't like about it?
Well, pros is, you get another person. That's more that your squad's able to do. The biggest cons have been stuff like we have to add a seat that doesn't really exist in vehicles, which means that person will just be seeing a black screen if they go in the first person. But that's a minor thing. And just the fact that the squads will have to adjust how they set up their squad. They might have a team of 4 and a team of 5. It just depends how they utilize that 12th person.
The biggest thing though is that a lot of people that are in, say squad lead spots or platoon level were in those positions where they already had a 12th man. So honestly, if they 5-man on Bravo was always a thing. Like I would run with Teacup and Duke while Slider ran with our medic. Like it really didn't change. Like your gameplay aspect of it doesn't really change too much because you're just adding another person to a fire team. However, some squads, like I know with 2-1, they're thinking of having that dedicated person attached to command as a common engineer, because command always sits in the back most of the time, so a common engineer can sit there and shoot before moving. So that's an aspect 2-1's playing with. We at 2-3 haven't talked too much about it. Slider's still trying to figure that out, but there's a lot of pros to adding this 12th man, more than there is cons.
Yeah, that'd be really cool seeing those different squad SOPs and shit. Like that actually sounds interesting. You got a dude that can throw down a fucking bunker for your RTO to call in CAS and hide your squad lead so he doesn't get booped by a fucking commando droid. Set up a boomer and just lay down hell.
That was kind of the main point is, each squad is different and should have their own personality, and it should be up to them. That was one of the pros. It should be up to them where the extra person goes. But an extra person never hurts,
Yeah, there's possibilities of what you can do that are endless, and even if it does mean your team is your teams are unbalanced. Today I was squad leading, and Bravo team had 4 people, and Alpha only had 2, and I did not pass one over, so it was even because I was utilizing Bravo as just the attack group, and then Alpha was supporting them, so it was fine with the 4 people there, and then 2 to do whatever else.
But that I can see being a problem. Having a fucking assault team and a support by fire team, I would imagine those dudes that are we got to sit here while Alpha pushes again. God damn it. And they're just sitting there just laying hate on whatever they're maneuvering on.
I mean, it depends on people. Sometimes you can pass it back and forth to let each do each. And sometimes your assault people, you put them there because they like to press W and just kill. And then the support people like me, I advocate that we should have Alpha be supported and Bravo be attacking, because Waze loves to attack and I love to just be useful in whatever way. So I'm happy sitting back and just helping out.
Yeah, I think one of the major overlooked pros of the 12th man is Zeta. Zeta is really full right now, and I know a lot of those guys are not necessarily able to join a squad. But also recruitment has been doing a pretty excellent job. They're averaging a little over a trooper a day. So now is a good time to actually expand, but opening up a platoon is obviously, it's got complications beyond just adding people. So by adding 1 extra trooper to all of the platoons, you're almost creating a whole nother platoon without the need of trooper or NCOs and platoon commanders and all of that stuff. So you get to create a bunch of open billets that we could kind of fill in a lot of these guys that are joining, and kind of pull some of the guys that have been sitting in Zeta for a while as well.
That'd be pretty sick.
I think that's a beautiful transition to our next point here, but special guest tonight.
Well, actually,
is Twine.
Do you want to end off with some podcast news since we got the new development this weekend?
We'll finish with that.
All right.
Don't worry. All in due time.
Want a break from the ads? Well, too damn bad. We run a communist regime here in the 501st, and you will listen to my smooth, buttery voice in between each of our podcast sections, and you will enjoy it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.
But we'll get to it with Mr. Twine here. Hello, sir. Good to have you on.
Thank you. Huge fan.
Yeah, dude. Sorry it's taking so long.
No, that's good.
But no, just I don't know if you've been on you've been on our episode watch at all yet or seen anything, but you know.
I've listened to all of the episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I catch it every week. I love it. I'm a huge fan, like I said.
Hell yeah, dude. But I mean, basically, it's gonna be the same process, man. Just you've been here quite a while. You have such a rich history here, and why don't you tell us your story? How did you get from? How did you get to here, and when did you start? And don't leave out any detail. I know you won't.
Yeah. That's a crazy long story. So I joined, man, like almost 4 years ago now. When I first joined, I went through, back then it was basic training. I think my class was like 40 some odd people. It was like 8 hours long, but it was one of the most enjoyable ops and like one of my most memorable ops I ever did. We did a kind of a D-Day style beach landing. And yeah, it was sick. I was instantly hooked. I instantly fell in love with the unit. And then from there I went through CTC. Wasn't too remarkable in CTC because I never played Arma for a minute in my life. Like even the 20-hour minimum requirement that you're supposed to have to get into the unit, I just like started my game and left it on while I went to work. And that was it. Like I didn't really play. So basically when I went through CTC, the only real experience I had playing Arma was in basic. But I got through CTC and immediately started looking for a squad. Originally, I met up with at that time he was Corporal Point, and I was trying to get into Avalanche 1-3, but my work schedule just wasn't conducive for first platoon. So I got asked by Sergeant Sideways, those who are old enough to remember quite a character, to try out for his squad, and which was Avalanche 3-2. So I showed up to their training, one of their ops, and after 1 week, they asked me if I wanted to join the squad. I said, "Fuck yeah!" And yeah, joined 3-2, and that's when the real fun began. Sideways, Sideways has got a pretty bad rep, and I mean, honestly, deservedly so. A lot of stuff he's said and done is, was pretty bad. Like even by my standards, and my standards are pretty low in terms of that kind of stuff. But honest to God, like the guy was a great squad leader. Like he looked out for his guys. Like if anyone had a problem with any of us, like they had to go through Sideways first, and that was no small task. Sideways was like a grade A prick. So honestly, it was usually more trouble than it was worth to have to go through Sideways to resolve some kind of minor situation. And he knew how to lead on the field. He understood squad-based tactics and managed the teams really well. He knew how to, manage a squad really well. And 3-2 back then, and even through the history of the unit, I mean, it showed. And 3-2 has bred a lot of really good troopers and a lot of good NCOs and a lot of good officers and stuff in the unit. I don't want to say that's all because of Sideways, because it's definitely not. But Sideways did contribute to starting that tradition. So yeah, I joined under Sideways. I was on Bravo team under Crisis. Most people remember Crisis. He was a pretty good corporal. He was a pretty decent platoon leader. When he got to company, he was just inactive, like the rest of company. So
Yeah, those dang company guys.
yeah, I know those bastards. But when he team led and when he squad led for short time, I mean, Crisis was, I mean, he was the real deal. He really understood it and was good at it too. Real friendly guy, and you know, just nice all around. Let's see. Crisis left to go to, I want to say it was either Avalanche 4 or it was Blizzard. I think it might have been Blizzard, if I remember correctly. Crisis left to go to Blizzard, and we started. I forget who our team lead was after Crisis. I want to say it was Gonzo, my buddy that I originally joined with. We went through CTC together, and he was quite a character too. You know, I don't know, something was wrong with that boy. He just, you know, he had no filter, no self control. But good team lead. Squad was like that for, I don't know, a few months, and then Sideways decided he was going to go to ARC under the old Onyx system. Shout out to Onyx, you know, holla at my homies. But he actually got in. So I mean, he did get in for, I think it was like all of a week before he said something particularly foul, which is, you know, kind of Sideways' MO, and he was kicked out. So our squad leader became Warlord, who was our Alpha TL. Warlord was a really nice guy, but terrible squad leader. He was too nice, and then he also was real passive aggressive. So he had a lot of like big mouth hard asses on his squad, specifically Gonzo itself, Singed, and Hegner. We were all on the same fire team together, and I mean, you could ask Andromeda. He was our platoon sergeant for a while. We were a handful, to say the least. And Warlord. He just was real passive aggressive, and oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. Yeah, Sideways or Warlord was just real passive aggressive. He was not a really particularly good squad leader. And you know, mistakes were made. Gonzo became Alpha TL, and the next person in line to be TL was a guy named CT Runic. Decent guy. But also not very, you know, he just wasn't very good at TLing. He was also real nice, real shy. So he didn't really shine in the role. He could do it. But thankfully for him, he had Draman on his fire team. And Draman basically, basically led that team just from the 2IC spot. Kind of told Runic everything what to do. This whole time I was just a trooper, and honest to God, I really had no interest in leading at all in this unit. At that time, I taught CTC. I was on the mod development team for terrain. Like, that's all I really wanted to do, was just be a trooper. I actually wanted to be a veteran trooper. You know, the NCOs and the officers and stuff, a lot of times they get the kind of the luster, and you know, everyone wants to be those guys, but I always respected and wanted to be a veteran trooper the most. You know, those are the guys that have been through it. You know, they're the kind of the backbone of the squads. Got the experience, the skills. They just don't get all the acclaim. At least that's how I saw it when I was, you know, a trooper back then. So that was really all I ever wanted to do, was just be on the mod team. I actually super loved the terrain team back in the day. Working on maps and stuff. And I love teaching CTC. I'm not a big fan of the current UTC system. I know. Don't kill me, please. Please, Bridger and Jub. You know, I respect what you guys do, but I'm not a big fan of the UTC system. All right. But yeah. So Warlord squad leader. Gonzo and Runic are TLs, and some shit would go down, and ultimately I would, me and Hegner would end up getting banned from the platoon for a duration. So I was actually in Zeta for like, and actually, Bridger, you were my squad leader in Zeta, if I remember correctly.
That is where we met. Yep.
Yeah. So, I'd be in Zeta for like, I don't know, it's like 3 months or something, 4 months, maybe a little longer. And the platoon commander that ultimately kicked me out of the platoon was Ewick. He retired, and Andromeda ascended to 3-7 and gave me a shot to come back. And so I came back under Draman as our squad leader, and kind of rose up through the ranks slowly from there. Ended up becoming squad leader after Draman became 7, and then Bjorn went to Avalanche 2-7. So I ended up inheriting the squad, Avalanche 3-2. Phase 6 would happen, and 3-2 was like one of the prime squads to be transferred into the new platoon, because of our training days and times matched so good with what Avalanche 3 is now, the op times. So we transferred over, and I mean, it took a while. I think it was like 3 months before they would let Bjorn hold tryouts for the 7 billet. I tried out against Sergeant Parrott. I didn't really know him too well. I think he was from old Avalanche 2, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was from 2-3 with Guide.
Yeah, he was with Guide Squad. Didn't really know him. He seemed all right for the most part. Obviously, Bjorn ended up choosing me for the 7 billet. Parrott would retire, and then me and Bjorn would work on building 3rd platoon not from scratch, because we did inherit Avalanche 2-3 and obviously 3-2, so they were full squads. They had really good troopers in both of them. Guide, Uncle, all those guys. Glass are, top-notch troopers. So we just had to build really one squad, and then build the platoon cohesion was the main part. You're fitting a lot of guys from different areas of the unit together that have limited or no experience playing together, and trying to kind of make it work. So that was really the hardest part. But we put Dell in at squad leader of AV-3-3, and he did an excellent job. I mean, Dell really shined as a squad leader. He had a lot of help. Klinger, who's now squad leader of 3-3, was a TL for him. And Klinger's he's a workhorse. Guy's an animal. So really, Klinger and Dell built up 3-3 into a really formidable squad. And then Bjorn would obviously send to company, and I would inherit the 6 billet, which I actually almost resigned for a short time there. I'd been burnt out on the unit for a while. I really wasn't too keen on doing the 7 billet from the get-go, but Bjorn really wanted me to try out for it and thought I would do good at it. And obviously, I beat out Parrott for it and ended up doing it. And then when he stepped away, I really had no interest in being a platoon commander. So Draman thankfully came over and helped me out and helped me get my feet, while Bjorn was basically AFK. And then he went up to company. And yeah, from there, it's just I led 3rd platoon for, I don't know, about a year. Between being a 7 and a 6, it's probably a year, close to. Obviously, I would select Bridger as my 7. Worst decision I ever made in my life.
Facts.
And honestly, yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of what we accomplished in Avalanche 3. It's, I mean, from my perspective, it's one of the most fun platoons to play with. In Arma, they're, you know, a unique set of individuals. All the squads have a lot of personality and distinctiveness to them. NCO core is top notch, and I mean, it's no coincidence that a lot of the leadership of just all over the unit at one point or another hailed in some form from Avalanche 3. It's just has had a long tradition of success and good leadership. So really proud of that, and hopefully you guys keep it up. Now I'm company NSOC, which sucks.
Hey, talk about. I mean, you kind of touched it on already. But a lot of leadership, and I don't think a lot of people realize this. A lot of leadership came from that one iteration of 3-2 throughout the unit. I don't think people realize just how much you guys are spread out through the unit now based on that. Like, you guys, for all intents and purposes, were stacked. So could you remind everybody here who exactly came from that 3-2 that's now in upper leadership?
Yeah, so you got Draman, who obviously, I mean, he's a company commander and a platoon commander in Cyclone. Bjorn, who was a company commander and obviously platoon commander of Avalanche 3 and a platoon sergeant for Avalanche 2. Then you have myself, who I was platoon commander for Avalanche 3. I'm an NSOC. You have Sergeant Hegner, who's squad leader in Avalanche 3 right now. And he's being looked at for a 7 billet and a couple other billets I won't name. But highly skilled guy, kind of stupid, but I mean, he's got a lot of skills.
He's actually terminally ill. That's how stupid it is.
Oh my
I was gonna say, you said kinda. I mean, he's
No, he's dumb.
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they make blonde jokes, but there actually should be Hegner jokes. And then Corporal Singed, who's a team leader in 3-2 right now. He was in Onyx. He was considered for a couple platoon medic billets when he was a medic. All around, really great dude. That's my brother from another mother. It's just a shame he's Asian. Love you, Singed. But no, it really did. 3-2 has had just an epic ton of really good leadership. Also, if memory serves, some of the guys before me, like you got Crisis, was from 3-2. I think Dimitri might have at one time been in 3-2. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. I know originally he would most of his time in 3rd platoon was with 3-4, but I do believe at one point he was in 3-2. Who else?
If he was, he never talks about it.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I don't blame him. But yeah, I mean, 3-2 has had a lot of really good, successful leaders from the move around the unit. So,
well, I mean, usually when something like that happens, you can point to the fact that you guys might have stumbled upon a formula that was at least culture wise, like you guys just. It seems to suggest you guys had leaders. What were kind of the things that you think set you guys apart, like as a squad?
I'm not really sure because 3-2 was when we were in Avalanche 3. Like back when Warlord and Sideways were our squad leaders, really we were kind of the odd man out in 3rd Platoon. Back then, 3rd Platoon was Trench Platoon, and we fucking hated that. Like,
Yeah.
3-2, we were, the rest of Avalanche 3, we were like the heretics. We were the door kickers. We wanted to be the first ones through the door shooting the droids. We wanted to be on the move, on the attack. We never wanted to be stationary, sitting in trenches. We fucking hated it. So for the most part inside of our platoon, that's what really set us apart, was we did not subscribe to the trench platoon philosophy. I mean, we could do it. I mean, anyone could dig a trench and, sit in it and scratch your balls and shoot droids in the face. So, I mean, we could do it with the best of them, but we hated it. So, also, we were really competitive. I mean, I'm sure some of the guys that are still in Cyclone 3 that remember old 3-2, like Walsh and Shames, we talk some shit to our fellow platoon mates from time to time, and we tried to breed some friendly competition and stuff, and we definitely competed amongst the squad too. Kills and see who could run across a field with a droidica shooting at them and not get shot, stuff like that, just stupid stuff. I mean, that was the kind of stuff we were in. We were just real competitive. As far as what really helped us to breed that good leadership, I really do, though Drummond and Bjorn would be reluctant to take credit. I think them coming in and both of them having some, military background really kind of helped smooth out the rough edges of the more aggressive side of 3-2, which was, Gonzo, myself, Singed, and Hegner, which obviously all 4 of us have 0 military experience. I mean, I'm so fat I can barely get out of my chair. So, but they really did help smooth out some of the rough edges and kind of, bring in some tactical discipline to the squad that I don't think we necessarily lacked, but that was definitely well received and put into practice once they kind of came into the squad and everything. Otherwise, I would say a lot of it was just random convergence of just good people and good personalities and people willing to put in the work and effort to make something great.
That's awesome, man. What do you say to people that kind of misunderstand you and get you wrong sometimes? I think a lot of times people think like you're this big angry dude, and that's all that they see and all that people kind of talk about. But in reality, like you're much more 3-dimensional character than that. How do you deal with that? How do you show people that, like, hey, like, I'm actually like a guy who probably gives most of the shit in the entire unit?
Really, I don't, to be honest. I mean, I probably do give the most shit in the unit. I really care about this unit, and I put a lot of work and effort into creating the best possible environment that I can. But for the people who misunderstand me or don't like me, like, I honestly don't put in a lot of effort into them because they're not worth it, like, at all for me. So, to the people that just don't know me, then if they want to try and get to know me, I mean, I'll be receptive to it. But I don't really go out of my way to kind of change the perception because I mean, my reputation's been so ingrained. Like, I get it pretty often, even from like CRCs and stuff who have never even talked to me. Like, they've heard of me in some fashion or another, the time I was mean to so-and-so or whatever. And it's like, I don't just go out of my way to be mean to people. Like, I'm pretty blunt to people. Like, I don't have a lot of time for, like beating around the bush. If you did something wrong, or I think you did something wrong, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not always right. I mean, I've been wrong, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. It just so happens I'm not wrong that often. But I honestly do give a lot of time and effort into this unit, not for really myself. Like I love it here too, but I just want my platoon, my company, just the people in the community to have a really good place to have fun. And over the years, this unit's given me quite a lot. I mean, I've had a ton of fun here. I've made a lot of friends. My time as Avalanche 3.6 and Avalanche 3.7 will be some of my most cherished memories until the day that I die. So really, I just want to give back as much as I can. A lot of times I find that a lot of people don't even disagree with me on like my ideas or like anything like that. It's always just they don't like how I do go about it, or like how I say things, because I don't beat around the bush. I just come out and say it. And over the years, it's served me well in some cases and hurt me in others, but I don't plan on changing.
That's good. Is there anything you're working on now that you're in an NSOC spot that you might want to share with people on the podcast while we have you here today?
Oof. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to do. I'm trying to address a lot of the problems that a lot of people, the NCOs and troopers alike, have had issue within the unit for long time, in some cases years. And I mean, getting a lot of like pushback, and like I understand why people are pushing back against it and they don't like it. I do understand it, but at the end of the day, these are problems that have been going on for years. And really no one stepped forward with any solutions to fix it. So I'm not saying that these solutions that I'm putting forth will fix it, but it's a step in the right direction, I feel. Such as the NCO attendance policy that I've been working on. Largely Cyclone has looked at it, gone over it. They're on board. There's still some work to be done with Avalanche. On the Avalanche side, there's still some pushback, which I like I said, I understand. No one likes to be told like, hey, you got to do this, you got to put in this much effort. But I think a lot of people are just getting caught up in the fact that they're being told or asked to do something, and they're not really looking at the whole picture. So like in the NCO attendance policy at the squad level, being required to attend 6 of your six of your squad trainings and ops combined a month, plus like 2 community events. Now, on average, most squad trainings or ops last at most 2 hours. So if you take 4 ops and 2 squad trainings and then 2 fun ops, let's just say that's 8, right? That's a total of 16 hours of gameplay a month. Like I don't understand like how we're asking too much. 16 hours of gameplay total across an entire month. And at the platoon level, or I'm sorry, it's not even 16, it's 14 hours of gameplay for at the squad level. At the platoon level, it would be 16 and at the company level it'd be 18. I do know, like, there is some gray areas because there are a lot of NCOs that do a lot of C shops. Things like UTC that they take a lot of time and they put a lot of effort into, and there's really not a good way to quantify all of that. So a lot of it's just going to come down to like the discretion of change of commands, just saying, look, okay, yeah, this guy, he teaches UTC, he's already putting in UTC, 14 hours a month or whatever it is. I don't know a typical month for UTC instructors, but whatever it is, stuff like that. There's really no way to simply quantify all that and put it into a short, concise policy that anyone can read and understand without having to read through 40 pages to get all of the details. So I mean, I don't know if it'll fix everything. I think it'll have an impact and it'll help. So I think it's important that we try, and I think another thing that a lot of people get, they get caught up in just not liking it, that like, if it doesn't work, I mean, I'll be the first one to say, okay, this is not working. It's useless. Let's get rid of it. We'll try something else. So that's one, is the NCO attendance policy. The other one is, the Zeus department. This is something, Avalanche 3 is pretty critical of basically everything. But the Zeus department in particular, like Avalanche 3 has always been, wanting to push the envelope on what's possible in ops and really get the best possible experience that they can. And a lot of times they feel the ops just don't really cut it. And that's fine. Like, I don't have problems with people being critical of really anything, myself, the unit, whatever, any particular department. But at the same time, while we're being critical is okay, we also need to try and find ways to support them and help them. One of the things as platoon commander in 3rd Platoon, I required all of the squads to fill out 3 Zeus review forms, to kind of help give the Zeus department feedback so that they could use that feedback to try and fix things if possible. Now as NSOC, what I'm looking at is, one of the big problems the Zeus department is having is burnout. I don't know the exact number of Zeuses, but let's just say it's somewhere around 10, which I've told is pretty close to accurate. So about 10 guys Zeus all of the FTXs and campaign ops, right, on any given week. That's not a lot when you consider there's 6 platoons, and then you have Minoc, Razor, and Ackley. Razor doesn't always have their own ops, and Minoc doesn't always have their own ops. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So you really, on an average week, usually you got 6 platoons, and then Ackley, and then Zeta as well. But I don't know. I'm not sure of how the Zeta system works, but I mean, that's a lot of Zeusing for just a small number of people. So one of the things that I've been looking at is, currently NCOs are required to have Zeus permit to be an NCO. It's pretty easy to do. You just show up to a class for like an hour. You don't even learn that particularly that much, and then you're done. This is so that you could facilitate squad training, stuff like that. But when I went through the NCOs, there's a little over 84 NCOs and officers across Cyclone and Avalanche combined. And something like 65% of them only have Zeus permits. That's a lot of people who just have Zeus permits. Okay. So what I'm working on with the Zeus department is a way to streamline getting your Zeus qual easier, so that if we can get the NCOs and the officers to get that Zeus qual, there's not going to be a requirement that they actually Zeus other than to get the qual, which right now is a bit of a 3 sit-ins is quite a lot. So we're looking into ways to making that easier and more accessible to people. And the hope is that out of 65% out of 84, let's just say it's something like it's in the 40s. Out of 40 some odd guys, if you just get 4 or 5 that say, look, I already got Zeus qual, I learned a few things, and I think I could Zeus for Cyclone 2 or Avalanche 1, and they get involved and help the Zeus department. I mean, you get 5 guys, that's a 50% increase in the Zeus department. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. And I do ultimately think you'll get a few NCOs that'll participate a little bit more in the Zeus department. And then also, it's not just the guys that are NCOs now, but the NCOs coming up in the future as well. So that's kind of my hope. That one's still a work in progress. There is some resistance to that one as well. So TBD, I guess. The other one I worked on, still being worked on and discussed, is the creation of a new billet that would be kind of be like a war correspondent. They would kind of follow the squads around and like take footage and create a couple times a month, 3 to 5 minute video, kind of telling the story of the troopers from whatever company. It wouldn't focus so much on like campaign stuff. It'd be more about capturing that funny moment in Avalanche 2-3, in their op, and highlighting it and kind of sharing with the rest of the unit the personalities of the troopers and all the squads. That's kind of the goal. This is something that's been talked about, and it's largely been left up to like C shops, like media outreach or news team or whatever, wherever it's been tried to fit in, and it just hasn't really gotten done a whole lot. I mean, there has been some movement and some success on it. Like Target's done some videos and stuff, which is good, and I'm all about that. My hope is that if we tie it to a billet, there's kind of a little bit more incentive and a little bit more drive to make sure that it gets done. You're accepting a billet.
Accountability.
Right. You're accepting a billet to make sure this gets done. That's kind of my hope. Right now, it's still only in the being talked about phases. There are some other ideas for it, so we'll see how that goes. But that's one. The 12th man, I put that up on the battalion board. I didn't really write an MFR or something. I mean, the 12th man has been something that for a long time I've heard, squad leaders, troopers, platoon commanders, RTOs, medics. I mean, you name it. I've heard a lot of people, ask why we don't have 12-man squads, or can we go back to 12-man squads? And I haven't really heard a whole lot against it, other than, the main thing against it is just a lot of people are used to the way their squads are now. And some squads have found a way to balance their squads, where they got 4 on Alpha, 4 on Bravo, and then 3 at the command level. And introducing another trooper could unbalance those teams, and they don't really like that. And I mean, that's fair. I don't mind that people don't like that, but there's a lot of other, there's a lot more pros than there are cons to it. And I think making it optional for squads was a good call too. That was something Hoodoo had mentioned, is just like if a squad doesn't want to pick up a 12th trooper, I mean, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't think any squad should be forced into picking someone a billet up that they don't really want. It can sit empty, and then if the next squad leader that comes along wants to put someone in there, so be it. But I think the pros by far outweigh the cons. So I was glad to see that that did pass, and for the most part, I haven't heard too many grumbles about it. It's been pretty light, so that's good.
Do you enjoy calling steel rain onto the CIS? Do you enjoy being responsible for calling it a lat to save your brothers from harm's way? The only thing that gets your dick hard these days is a clear and concise message over a long-range radio. Then good news, I have the job just for a man like you. Reach out to any RTO instructor to get more information on being a radio transmissions operator in the 501st today.
I also think, though, with the 12-man, it wasn't like fully announced. Like, there wasn't a huge announcement about it either. Like, we only know about it because we're NCOs. Like, if you go to company meetings, like, oh, there's a 12th man. So, I mean, if squads start portraying that, I think people are going to be a lot interested. But you mentioned something earlier about the correspondent person.
Yeah.
That, I honestly like that idea quite a bit, because a lot of times, like, if you don't have time, say, I don't know, within the next 2 weeks, like you have 2 weeks and you want to join this squad, but you can't show up for those times yet, or you don't really want to go to a training or just be there with them in person, like watching a video about like that squad will help recruits be like, I want to join that squad, or I want to join that platoon. I think that is a wonderful idea. Like, I have fully support.
Yeah, one of the big complaints has been, probably the second largest complaint across the unit has largely been like people in cliques and like in their own little bubbles. And I mean, it's an accurate description. I mean, the guys in 3rd platoon don't really go and hang out a whole ton with the guys in 2nd platoon or 1st platoon. And Cyclone doesn't really super mix with Avalanche guys. I mean, obviously we all reserve for there's
Everyone.
troopers that reserve for everyone. I just mean in general, like moving around and hanging out and discussing campaign and stuff. It doesn't really happen on a larger scale. It's kind of much smaller. You get a few guys here and there that really do get around and mingle really well. And shout out to those guys that do. So having someone film this stuff and put it into video format really will kind of help to open up these bubbles and give you an inside look at, man, those guys in Avalanche 1-1, they're actually pretty cool. I'm gonna reserve for 1-1 next time I get a chance, or Cyclone 3-3. They seem like a pretty cool group of guys. I'm gonna try to reserve for them. That's the hope, is to try to undo some of the clicks and really give people an inside look into these squads. And also, I mean, on another kind of side of it is, I mean, more videos and stuff up on YouTube just means more more
People coming
eyes
in.
and more people coming in. And if you're putting one guy at Cyclone and one guy at Avalanche, and they're each doing, let's say 2 videos a month, I mean, that's another 4 videos a month we're putting up on YouTube. And I think that's important, is that we find any way we can to kind of help keep those recruitment numbers up and going climbing. And I think the recruitment guys have for a few months now been really doing really good. But anything we could do to help keep that going is important.
So are you? I know this is just talks at the moment, but is this going to be like a platoon level guy, or is this going to be a company level guy?
It would be a company level billet. The way I wrote it up, there is another idea and another plan for it. The way I envisioned it and the way I wrote it up for a policy is it would be a company level billet, and all the perks and everything that come with it. Full access to all of the platoons, their ops, all of that stuff. It would be a sergeant billet. There was some talk about maybe making it a warrant billet. I don't really have anything. I don't have anything against doing it that way. I don't really see why we can't just, if they would rather have it as a, whoever chooses the billet, if they wanted to go the warrant route, I'm cool with that. And if they want to go the sergeant route, I'm cool with that too. I kind of feel like it should kind of be a choice thing. But either way, it don't matter to me ultimately, but it would be a company billet, and it would they would focus on that company.
That's crazy. You got your hand in a lot of different things right now, man. I know the boys that have 3 miss you, and even though you're around a whole lot, they're always gonna. You miss their boy. I mean, you gave your heart and soul to that platoon, and it's look at where we are now, and a lot of that is because of you. That's something that they're never gonna forget. And especially as you keep representing us at the company level. We'll go ahead and we'll close it out there, my man. As always, I appreciate you. Your mentorship has been huge for me and so many other people. So appreciate you, man, and you're always welcome. And we'll probably have you back for a second episode later down the line.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Have you ever been in the field, down in the dirt with your bros, mud running over the calves of your teammates, blood squirting from every orifice, just covering your face? You feel your brother's hot, warm liquids oozing down your hands. If you haven't experienced this, you haven't lived. Join the 501st Medical Detachment.
And with that, I am going to. Unfortunately, Valhalla is on LOA here. So I'm going to attempt to do his part really quick with the hail and farewell. Which, if you remember, the first time that I did this went absolutely terribly. So I'm going to give this a shot. So I'm going to start with. I don't think we've had anybody leave, which was good. I kind of skimmed this a little bit.
I made a quick list during
all
that time of Twine Hawking. There was one farewell. At least one person that left the unit. A few others of inactive. We had CS Texas left.
Oh, that's right. Farewell to Texas. I did that backwards. This is already going.
And then there's also the weird one.
No, that one doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that one.
The one that's a hail and a farewell.
I will mention that here because we're all thinking about it. Yeah, but Aiden, do you want to read off those names? The welcome, the hellos.
Yes, there are quite a few of the welcomes. Luckily, it's easy for me to remember them because I have to put them in every week when they get through UTC. So first off, one I came across is one I've had to deal with also with changing name. Hail to. We settled name Feedback after you started as Acer. That didn't work because we have Ace. Then we changed him to Psycho, which that didn't work because we have Psycho spelled the weird way.
Right.
Now we have Feedback, which hopefully that will stay for a little bit. I can't read my own writing here, so I'm sorry that I'm about to pronounced wrong, but I think this was Rax Jarvis or Rax Javis.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell myself what that was. So
Welcome.
hail to you. Hopefully, we'll eventually know your name. Next we have Say Hey. A nice trio of entries there.
Shut up,
finally,
Dakota.
we
He's
have
doing
found
great.
Waldo. Hail to Waldo.
Hail, Waldo.
Parasite. Definitely give a hail to him because I've already seen him in at least 2 ops in just the past 4 days. He's going for that pilot. We have Jakobski, one of those 2 A's. I know he's just about finishing up his time in UTC. We have Squeaks. So hail to Jakobski and Squeaks. We have a Cell, a Crane. Hail to you. Overlord, who of course, yes, he does have the anime Overlord as his profile picture.
Awesome.
Hail to Rose. I'm surprised that one was not taken already. So good on you for finally nabbing that up. Hail to Buck. Again, odd that all of our Halo fans did not pick that one up already. So good on you. You'll like this next one, Bridger, because I know you love it already.
Oh, no.
Hail to Tubber.
Tubber!
He's came in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
Tubber
recruited.
doesn't know this, but he's my best friend. He has the best name I've ever seen.
Yeah, I recruited him and Buck at the same time. He couldn't figure out what name he wanted because he couldn't. He was trying to get some Star Wars Lord names. He's like, Luke. I was like, no, I can't. Sorry. So we went with Tubber.
Tubber, you're a goddamn legend, and you got a friend in me, brother. You come to me anytime.
And CWM Super is making his comeback. Unfortunately, somebody heard about that, so we are hailing CR Doomsday. So Superberry on the lookout there. We also finally have CR Doctor. Let's see if he'll join the many people that have fitting names and join medical, such as Stitches and Triage.
And Bones.
And Bones, yes.
Yeah.
And we have
knowing our
Mitchell.
luck, he'll become an RTO. I thought Chatter was going to be an RTO, and he became
He
a
was an
medic.
RTO
So
for a bit.
maybe
Chatter
Was
was
he?
an art. Yeah, he was an RTO for a little bit when he first joined because he joined with me. Like we were in the same BCT class, and he was RTO for Coward during that. And he's like, then he went the RTO route.
I think I remember that BCT class.
He was in, I think 2-3 with Guide. I think he was there RTO for a little bit.
Huh, I should ask.
And we have the end of the main list, CR Mitchell. Hail to you. And then finally we have the weird one. He's a hail and a farewell. So farewell to Sergeant Glass, the Zeta XO, immediately followed by hail to CR Shattered. Because he could not take it more and he shattered.
Hi, Glass. Your mama named you Glass. I'm going to call you Glass.
That's not.
That was your given name.
We want to welcome back Daku. He has come back.
Today. Yes, that one. It wasn't a. Actually, I think that one stuck by because he requested cadet. I was only looking for recruits.
Did you do Mitchell?
We did. Got Mitchell.
Okay.
Yes. Also, welcome back to Daku.
Gonna roast us for this.
Crazy man that he was all over the place. He was in Avalanche way back. He's an old ass man. Then he was in Onyx for some time. I think he was one of the Gen 3, the Recon ARC Troopers for a while. And then he made his way over to Acklay for a good while and was team leader there. For leaving about a year and a half ago-ish. I don't remember exactly as well. But dude,
welcome back.
So yes, welcome back, Doc. And with that, we can now get to the final bit of business of the fun news about podcast.
Yeah. We are, before we leave you today, we have an announcement about the podcast here is that Dusty and I are going to start splitting host duties here every other week. So we're going to get a little bit more variety here on the podcast and shake things up a little bit. So next week you'll hear from our man Dusty, as we welcome him back to our team here. We're excited to have him back. So expect that going forward, and we'll have a little bit more time. Expect more commercials, more jokes, and more laughs. So,
and now that we're not just relying on Bridger to host this, hopefully we can not have any missed weeks due to being busy with everything else.
Yeah, whoops, those damn LOA. I became a platoon commander recently, and it's become difficult. But we're gonna split it up, so it's gonna be a lot easier now.
And
so,
Dakota and I already split up duties because he can't do mornings, so I'll definitely covering his Dusty's days, and he'll definitely be here on your days.
And with that being said, I guess we're gonna wrap up here. So from myself, Dakota, Aiden, Sandman, and Valhalla, wherever they may be, I think Sandman left during the middle of it. And I just did not notice.
He had a train to get to.
That'll be it for today. We'll see you next week with Dusty's first show. So take care. Later.